Welcome to the Productive Point of View for Marketing Professionals. Hey, it's Jake Jordan, founder of the Productive Point of View. Thanks for joining us today. And the question that we're going to be talking about is, how do I do branded content? Or how does branded content work? It's maybe a concept that you're familiar with and didn't know it was called branded content, or maybe something where you're in the industry and have heard it a bunch, but really just haven't dug into it and understand it. So for some context, let's just start with what is branded content. So if you remember back in the 1950s, 1960s, when people did advertising on TV, they would used to call it product placement, is where it really kind of started, where you would see the Donna Reed show or Dick Van Dyke, and you would have the main characters kind of stop mid part of the show, and they would start talking about their dish soap and how soft it made their hands, or things like that. And the idea became, let's not break up the atmosphere or the storyline or the things that we have going and lose people's attention. Let's just put people right into an advertisement inside of the environment that they're already comfortable with and understand what's going on. And so as marketing and advertising kind of split off after the 50s and 60s and became their own sort of thing, online people started to understand, especially over the last few years as stuff's been becoming really crowded and there's lots of stuff going on, that advertisements just get watched less and less. And especially you just get a brand new platform like a Facebook or a Snapchat or things that just keep popping up, the same process happens. And so you gain an audience, you get a whole lot of content in the feed, and you start spamming it or filling it with advertisement, people leave the platform. So people have had to become more creative and go back to what's really right about the psychology of marketing, that's understanding where people at when they're viewing your content and what's the best way to talk to them and get permission. As Seth Godin made famous, 17, 18 years ago, with permission marketing was the coin that he phrased. So that being said, some smart companies with smart people, Saturday Night Live, Comedy Central, big, really television type places who've done a good job of taking their content and putting it over into YouTube, over into Hulu, different platforms they know people are watching. They're always looking for the best way to make dollars. And that's where branded content has kind of come back up. And so what that looks like is you may have a Saturday Night Live skit going on that is actually an advertisement, but because you're in the process of the show, it's not until they bring up the actual product or the service or whatnot that you go, oh, I think this might be an advertisement. But at that point, they've already kind of got you hooked in and you're going to listen and you're not going to flip off. So I'm, in my family, notorious for as soon as the break on the TV show happens and it goes to commercial, it's on mute. I'm off doing something else. I'm typically on my phone, or I stand up and go get something to drink, and I'm sure you're the same way. In fact, I know because the stats say that commercials in 1990, 90% of the people left it on, watched it, maybe just grinned and bared it. Now it's down to 20%. And it's been something that we've been battling as an industry and even as a consumer. You know, on one side, you love to figure out how you can connect with people and get them connected to products and services, but then on the consumer side, you hate to be bugged. So as all that's going on, you know, you go, how can we take advantage of this as a company? How can we take this new trend and say, I'm not this massive brand with millions and millions of dollars, so I can't go out and do this amazing branded content to help my advertisements get seen. Well, that's untrue, because it's a concept. It's not something that's only for the big boys. And so let me tell you a little bit about why branded content works, and hopefully it can spur some ideas on for you. So the first thing is it communicates in a conversational manner. So the Saturday Night Live idea was something I brought up earlier, where they just work their current format. They just work and advertise into the current format. But another great example is Comedy Central. Comedy Central has taken a mythical person who's a hand model, and inside of their normal broadcast, you'll be in a show, and then when you go to commercial, it'll start like it's another TV show or another sort of story going on about this hand model. And every single commercial that they do that way with that hand model is sponsored by somebody else telling a story about this hand model. So one of them is Zales Diamonds sponsored one of the commercials, and it was how they were trying to get a perfect shot on camera for this hand model for a diamond ring from Zales. But it's all done in story. And another example is Joe's Crab Shack took a really kind of more vulgar of so-and-so got crabs on their hand approach. But as you can see, it was entertaining or inspiring or compelling, and so it's worked into the normal flow of what the person's already watching. So that's the whole concept, and you can do that if you understand your audience and you understand why they might like certain things, and insert yourself into those different conversations. So it communicates from a conversational manner. Okay, so the second thing it does is it brings awareness. So for marketing professionals, for business owners, for people like that are watching this, you know about the traditional funnel, right? The traditional funnel is you've got awareness up top, you've got kind of more of a comparison or discovery in the middle, and then you've got close or interest in the bottom, right? And so this is very much an awareness or more top of the funnel, maybe a little bit middle of the funnel for your sales process. Because when a few years back, when people started writing these huge ebooks or large white papers or different things like that, all they were trying to do was get across, hey, here's something going on in our industry that you need to be aware of, and here's our stance on it. This is why you might be interested in learning more about us. But it was very much that sort of communicating conversationally about an issue, giving your stand on it, and doing so and bringing awareness around what you think about it. And so that automatically puts you in a conversation with a client or a customer who at some point might be interested in buying something from you as a thought leader, as an expert. And so the only output from that you're trying to gain is their trust. So KPIs, key performance indicators that you measure, is really just engagement. Long term, you work on different ways to attribute that back to leads and income. But the whole point is taking the concept of being conversational, being compelling or interesting or funny is how a lot of people do it, and then just getting in front of people and having them really enjoy it and share it. Another great example of that is the Old Spice guys. They do things that are really funny and are manly, because that's what Old Spice's brand is, but the entire thing is about being manly and entertaining. And of course at the end there's a little Old Spice placement. But they just want you to consume their stuff and be known by you. Okay, and so the last thing that branded content does for you is it's really portable. So if you're not familiar with the concept of portable, most people in the industry talk about like making it really easy for people to download because it's a PDF, or making it really easy to consume because it's a standard file that anyone can watch on their laptop or their phone or wherever they're at, their tablet. So branded content is portable that way a lot of times because it's video, and a lot of places or occasions. It doesn't have to be. But it's also portable because it's a message that's conversational, that is entertaining or inspiring or something like that. So there's a lot of different places from a PR standpoint that you can place this content, and it fits in. It's portable. It can go places. When you build an ad, it only works as an ad. When you build a sales conversation or a comparison conversation about your clients or your competitors, typically it only belongs on your website or maybe on a site that compares competitors in your industry. But branded content has legs. It can go so many places and it can fit in, and that's how it can become viral. And that's why you see a lot of these things talked about in the big publications like Ad Age or things like that. It's because it communicates well, it brings awareness to an issue, and it's portable, which are three great elements of branded content, which is why you can do it and why you should do it. So that's it for today's episode. Hopefully that gave you a little more insight and maybe some inspiration to think about how you might come up with a concept. In the meantime, check out the podcast. I spend every week talking to smart people about marketing and issues like this. How are they doing it? How are they being productive with concepts like this so they can create momentum in their business long term? So thanks again for tuning in. If you have any questions, please jump down below here on the video on YouTube or in the blog if you're watching it there, and just ask away. Tell me about some of the best branded concepts you've seen. Thanks again for tuning in, and we will see you again soon here on The Productive Point of View. This has been the Productive Point of View podcast.